Please welcome Jewish California's past board chair and Jewish California Foundation's current board chair, Marty Schenker.
Hi, I'm Marty Schenker, and as you just heard, I'm the immediate past chair of Jewish California and the current chair of our brand new 501c3, the Jewish California Foundation. I was scheduled to introduce Jonathan Greenblatt, the CEO of the Anti-Defamation League. Unfortunately, Jonathan had a death in the family. He's sitting Shiva, and he's not able to make it out to California. So our thoughts are with Jonathan and his family. Instead, I have the privilege to introduce Nicole Mutchnik, the chair of ADL's board of directors. Before I do, I want to express my gratitude for ADL's partnership with Jewish California. ADL is a longtime member of our coalition, and during my tenure as board chair, they were one of the rotational board members of Jewish California. In our efforts to protect the Jewish community as we confront this terrifying spike in anti-Semitism, ADL has been an invaluable partner to us. We are a stronger and more effective organization because of their involvement. I also want to note the passing yesterday of ADL's longtime leader, Abe Foxman. Abe relentlessly pursued a world without hate. In this time of rising anti-Semitism, Abe's life work very much remains a work in progress. He provided moral clarity that guides us today and that inspires our activities at the summit. May his memory be for a blessing. Nicole Mutchnik is part of a new generation of ADL leaders carrying forth Abe's commitment to fighting anti-Semitism and hate. Nicole is a model of political and civic engagement, having led multiple organizations on the local, state, and national levels. In addition to her leadership at ADL, Nicole is a longtime advisor to elected officials and to philanthropic and business leaders. She serves on the boards of the Women's Political Committee, the Luskin School of Public Affairs at UCLA, and the Aspen Institute Leadership Council, among others. She is co-founder of the California Democracy Fund and previously worked in government and politics. Again, I'm not going to give the full list, but she served Governor Gray Davis and Speaker of the Assembly and former Jewish Caucus member Bob Hertzberg. Nicole, thank you very much for joining us and for stepping up on short notice. Please join me in welcoming Nicole Mutchnik.
Wow, it's so wonderful to be able to be here with all of you. Marty, I so appreciate that, your comments, and I want to thank you so much for your dedication and your leadership. And Nathan, we're so lucky to have you in Los Angeles. Thank you for serving. We appreciate it. And thank you to everyone here at Jewish California. You know, I've been coming to JPAC meetings for almost 30 years. So it really means something for me to look across the room and see hundreds and hundreds of people here. Thank you, every one of you. As board chair of ADL, over the past year, I've traveled the country and sometimes the world, meeting Jews in Brussels who have attained second passports, in Boulder, Colorado, with the community and the governor after the violent firebombing. As you know, it left many seniors burned, permanently burned, and one ultimately murdered. I was in DC following the tragic shooting of two beautiful young people at the Capitol Jewish Museum. And you should know the Capitol Jewish Museum is chaired by my dear friend, Chris Wolf, who is our colleague on the ADL Board of Directors. In December, ADL was in Australia. And while in the air returning home, of course, the horrible Bondi Beach Hanukkah massacre took place. In February, just this last February, we hosted Philip Rosenberg, the president of the Board of Deputies of British Jews in New York City, for our annual Never Is Now conference and the meeting of the J7 largest Jewish communities in the world. And just 2 months later, we were on the phone with Philip, offering our condolences and strategic advice following the stabbings and the multiple ambulance arson attacks in London. No matter where I travel, and I'm sure this is true for you as well, this is all just so close to home for us, is it not? But I am a native Californian, born and raised in this state. I went to school here, I built my career here, I raised my family here. California is not just where I live, it's how I see the world. So when I tell you that I care deeply about what happens here, please know that it is certainly not a professional obligation. It is personal, of course, in every sense of the word. I came to ADL at a time when anti-Semitism was actually very low, because I believe in its mission to fight against discrimination, injustice, and hatred. And now, as its board chair, my job is to make sure that ADL has the resources, the strategy, and the moral clarity to do its essential work, to stop the defamation of the Jewish people, and to secure justice and fair treatment to all people. It is not political. It is a moral imperative. Now, ordinarily, stopping defamation and securing justice and fair treatment is really not controversial. But my friends, I think as all of you know, our times are not so ordinary. Growing up in Los Angeles, I attended California public schools, K through 12, and then on to UCLA, $434 per quarter. I could work my way through. And then graduate school at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. I built a career in politics and government, and in each one of these roles, my religion was immaterial. Being Jewish had no impact on my opportunities, my educational or professional opportunities. At the time, I did not fully realize that I had ADL to thank for that. I knew, of course, historically, that it was not always easy for Jews, of course. We had to build our own hospitals, cemeteries, universities, and neighborhoods. But I took for granted that non-discrimination in my lifetime was the norm. Anything else was a rare exception. Of course, my path, my equal opportunity, wasn't by accident, and it wasn't by default. My path had been cleared and tended and protected by generations before me. Generations at ADL, generations of civil rights leaders and their allies, long before I stepped foot at public school or in any professional offices. You know, I did not fully appreciate it then, but I certainly appreciate it now. Because today, for my kids, for their classmates, and for their generation, the Jewish story is very different. Being Jewish now is a defining characteristic for young people, defined by others, inescapable. It is noted, questioned, labeled, and at times targeted by their peers, by fellow students, by teachers, and by professors, by colleagues, employers, by labor unions, and art galleries and book publishers. Exclusion, discrimination is newly cool again. I'm sure you're familiar with bans on some Jews at Berkeley, at UCLA, at UCSD, in Santa Ana public schools. No student should have to become a civil rights expert to fight their own discrimination. That is not their job. Their job is to do their best in school, earn the highest GPA, join the law review, become student body president. It is not their job to fight for their own equal opportunity. My friends, that is our job. That is what brings us to Sacramento today. ADL has been, as already mentioned by Marty, ADL has been on the Jewish California board for years, and I have been part of the Sacramento lobbying delegations over decades. I sat on the JPAC board years ago, back, and used to make trips with Lenore Wax of blessed memory. Then my dear friend Allison Gingold, when she chaired the board. my longtime friend Gia Danneler, and of course, Cliff Berg. So many of our homegrown California civil rights leaders. I think I may have actually been JPAC's very first individual sponsor when it was only supported by organizations at that time. So I want to convey to you directly and very sincerely that we believe deeply in what you're building at Jewish California. And I want to recognize Jewish California's impressive growth and progress thanks to David Bocarsley. Thank you, David. And just in the nick of time, just in the nick of time. Thank you for all of that work over so many decades. As you may know, ADL was founded in 1913 with a mission to stop the defamation of the Jewish people and to secure justice and fair treatment for all. ADL's leaders marched arm in arm with Dr. King in Selma. We wrote the state and the nation's hate crimes laws. We advocated for marriage equality long before it was popular. We have stood with immigrant communities, with faith communities, against Asian American discrimination and violence, and with the LGBTQ community. Yesterday, as you have heard, ADL's former national director, a Jewish American icon, passed away. My own friend, mentor, and advisor, Abraham Foxman, who had been a hidden child in the Holocaust, a survivor. President Herzog reached out to share his remembrance of Abe and his 50 years of work for ADL. Coming into a world at war, the Holocaust shaped Abe's character and defined his mission, combating anti-Semitism and hypocrisy, calling out racism and bias, speaking up for the Jewish people and the Jewish democratic Israel. His story of rising from the ashes is our story, the story of our people. I think the president's words capture this moment as well as the beautiful life of Abe. The civil rights we have long fought for, that Abe fought for, human dignity, equality, the right to live free from fear of violence, those values are again being questioned right now, and unfortunately, right here in California. We all received the recent California ballot guide. And I will share that California has the second highest anti-Semitic incidence in the United States. We know that in some ways our state is trending in the wrong direction. Just last week, ADL's annual audit of anti-Semitic incidents was released, measuring the data from 2025. Here in the Golden State was recorded 817 anti-Semitic incidents. 817 incidents in California. So that's more than 2 anti-Jewish incidents per day, 7 days a week. 29 people in California were assaulted for being Jewish last year, and 90 synagogues were targeted. Nationwide, assaults and deadly incidents are also up, an average of 17 anti-Jewish incidents across America in the last year. Now, there are some good trends. I don't want to leave you with too much gloom. Overall, anti-Semitic incidents are down 30%. And I think that is really a testament to you, to me, to all of us standing together and caring. These are incidents like what happened at Wilshire Boulevard Temple in December, when, of course, the protesters surrounded the synagogue and harassed the congregants, or what happened weeks ago near Addis Torah Synagogue in Pico Robertson, where a Jewish man, a teacher, was assaulted. He said, "I thought it was the end of my life." We are all here today because we believe that anti-Semitism and hate must be confronted. And of course, California, with its vast multicultural diversity, its inspiring mountains, deserts, and coastline, must be no place for hate. No one should have to pass through a metal detector or a violent mob in order to pray. So what do we do about it? Well, at ADL, we focus our work around 3 pillars. We protect, we advocate, and we educate. Here in California, ADL has been working hand in hand with Jewish California, lending our legal expertise to push forward Assembly Bill 2664, the Safe Worship Zones legislation. The bill will create buffer zones for safe access around houses of worship of all kinds so that what happened outside Wilshire Boulevard Temple cannot happen again. We know that most Californians are with us on safe worship zones. The new polling that we just released today shows from ADL Center on Anti-Semitic Research, it shows that 2/3 of all Californians support this legislation. 2/3. That's 2 out of 3 Californians who are with us on making sure that our synagogues are safe to reach. 70% of Democrats, 63% of Republicans, and 89% of voters, almost 90% of California voters, say that protesters should not be allowed to block houses of worship. 90%. It's hard to get that much agreement on anything. Certainly not around my kitchen table. This is not a partisan issue. I think that's what the data shows us. This is just a common sense issue. ADL's experts testified at the committee hearing here in Sacramento just a few weeks ago, and we're fully committed to getting this across the finish line. And we need you. Your voices, your relationships, that's what's going to make this happen. This is really not just about California. We're drafting similar legislation in New York, Delaware, Pennsylvania, and beyond. And tomorrow, in Maryland, Governor Wes Moore will be signing into law another bill to protect houses of worship. It's good news. It's good news. There are solutions to these issues. And in Washington, D.C., ADL is leading the effort to pass the Sacred Act at the federal level, which would extend similar types of protections nationwide. There are these practical, tangible solutions to some of our society's anti-Semitism, harassment, and violence. We know what this state does here in California. California doesn't just follow, California leads, so I feel like we have to win this one here. I've learned something in more than 30 years of working on public issues. The people who make the difference are often not the loudest in the room. They are just the most persistent. They are the ones who come to Sacramento each year, even when we don't win everything every year, they return anew. That is who I see today around this room, and that is why you're here, and that is why I am here. I want to leave you with a California story about that kind of persistence. Last December, on the second night of Hanukkah, a family in Redlands had their yard lit up with inflatable menorahs and dreidels. The kind of display that says, yep, we're Jewish. We're a Jewish family, we love it, and we're not really hiding. A car drove past and fired multiple shots at their home while screaming, F the Jews. It was shocking, and it was frightening. The next morning, the Cohen family had a choice. And you know what? They didn't take down the menorahs, and they didn't take down the inflatables. They turned them back on, and they lit another candle. When there is hate, we bring more light. We are not going to dim ourselves or our path to make hatred more comfortable. That family is every one of us in this room. And that is the spirit that we are carrying into the legislative offices tomorrow. You are not going into the Capitol tomorrow as a constituent with a complaint. You're going in as a Jewish Californian with stories, with data, with your community behind you, and with the cause of freedom and justice and equal opportunity on your side. I'd like to put you in touch right now with your member of the legislature. So if you can, please take out your phone, and I want to give you the text so that you can connect with your legislative office. Just take a moment if you can. I'm going to ask you to please text the word California to the number 267-69. So you're texting the word California to 267-69. This will put you directly in touch with your member of the legislature. And if you do it now, while we're all in this room together, then we'll be better equipped for the stages ahead. Some say to me, this is a very hard moment, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. But there is nothing that I would rather be doing. And I know that you are here today because there is nothing you would rather be doing. What we do and what we are doing really matters. The professionals working on these issues are heroes at our federations, our JCRCs, our AJCs, our ADLs. They are heroes. We have reduced anti-Semitism by 30% in the past year by simply insisting on abiding by existing laws and enforcing existing rules and being even-handed to everyone. The work we are building makes a difference not just for our families and our Jewish communities, but really for all American communities. Many of us in this room have been lucky to know the best of America. And now it is our job to make sure that future generations can know the best of America too. I thank you.
I'm halfway through my text, Nicole. We have a couple-minute break while we're going to change some things up on stage. Please don't go far. In fact, I think you have an assignment now from Nicole, so just enough time to send something to your legislature. Nicole, thank you very much for your words, for your inspiration, and for joining us today.